Surprise! We're back for a bonus episode of Keep the Community Fed podcast with everything that's been going on in our communities around the country the past couple of months. We felt like it was important to be able to share with our supporters and our listeners what's kind of been going on at White Center Food Bank with this government shutdown and the SNAP suspension. So we decided to do a bonus little mini episode. I'm going to do my best to keep it short, but forgive me if I go over. So I'm your host, Carmen Smith, Executive Director at White Center Food Bank, with my co-host today, Robert Fuentes, our Development and Events Coordinator here at White Center Food Bank. So I'm curious, and see, I'm a little rusty, so I'm going to rewind here. Also behind the scenes are doing video production. We have Randy Wynn, our Marketing and Community Engagement Coordinator.
Hello.
And on sound production, our Development and Communications Director, Jefferson Rose.
Let's go. Bonus episode.
Yay. And so Randy and Jefferson kind of brainstormed at a pro bono marketing session that they had with Amazon, and we talked it through. And so moving forward, you will hear from us more often on the podcast, but we are going to try and do shorter episodes and then a longer episode, maybe once a quarter, just depending on how things go, just to keep the momentum going, to continue to be able to share and invite you in on the conversations that are happening behind the scenes at White Center Food Bank. And so we're really excited for that. And we have some exciting episodes lined up for you all in 2026. Okay, now I'm going to jump to my question. So I'm curious from everyone at the table that wants to answer, when you first heard about the shutdown and SNAP uncertainty this fall, like what went through your mind?
I think the first thing that went through my mind was, do people know about this? Constantly the question is this information getting out to the community? Is it getting out to the people who can best help support us? In particular, almost within a day of the talk of SNAP cuts happening, I got a text message from my sister with that exact question. Hey, are you going to see an increase in people coming to the food bank? And then that let me know, hey, I'm going to have to answer a ton of questions. People are going to have a lot of questions.
Yeah, similarly for me, I was concerned about people not knowing and going to the grocery store and then suddenly, hey, you don't have anything on your card, and the frustration that would be for customers of ours, but just across the country, anybody that isn't paying attention to the news every day, and who knows what the communication was in each state going out to each person that's on SNAP, and the letters, and what a lot of times those are pretty bureaucratic notices that are hard for people to understand, and language barriers, etc. So I was just thinking about a lot of the folks that really might not even realize that they're not going to have benefits, and then what that kind of crisis would create for families across the country.
I was just curious in how it would impact our food bank, personally. Whether there'll be more people showing up, or like Jefferson and Robert are saying, people who don't know and come to the food bank, and how much of the information was accessible to marginalized communities, accessing the information. So yeah, I'm just curious to see how long it lasted. So
Yeah, I similarly had thought about my mom who's on SNAP, and to your point, Jefferson, she didn't know that this was happening until I was like, hey, this is gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna have your benefit for who knows how long. And then we saw that happening here locally too. On the news, there were some stories about folks that did just that. They went up to the register and they weren't able to take their groceries home because there was no money on their EBT card. And of course, thinking about White Center Food Bank too, and what impacts that would have. And also, it reminded me back in 2019 when there was a government shutdown as well, that I was here for. We saw a 33% increase due to that one, and that one was much shorter than the one that just happened most recently. So, I think food banks across the country are the ones that kind of pick up the pieces in those moments. So many families are already relying on SNAP and food banks to get by and get groceries for their families. And so when an instance like this happens where families lose their benefits, it really stretches food banks to the seams. And for us at White Center Food Bank, that first week of November was just absolutely like ridiculous here. It was so busy. And just to give listeners an idea, that first week of November, we were already at a 60% increase over that same time in November or October of this year. So just like really, really busy. We had 400 families in one day, which is a lot when we're only open 4 hours a day for distribution. That's an average of 100 families per hour. That's an incredible amount of families coming through. That puts a lot of demand on our organization. A steady-ish day for us now is probably like 3:30, 3:20. And now to have like 400 kind of be this new height of our services, it really challenged us, I think. And November in general is just such a busy month because of the holiday season. And so we already see an increase in the families that come in. Something unique about this last November because of the government shutdown and the SNAP suspension is we saw families that haven't been here since the Great Recession. And like, that is really telling in itself, because at some point, that those families were able to get to a place where they weren't having to utilize White Center Food Bank. And then now, because of that, they had to. And I think that just shows like how fragile the economy is for most families to kind of achieve that, or what is perceived as stability, or what we think of as stability. And so it was really disheartening in a lot of ways, because we just saw families pushed beyond their limits. And I was working distribution one Friday, and I had a mom with her kids shopping in the grocery store that is in the military, just express her gratitude for our organization and having it as a resource, because she wasn't getting paid during that time as a government worker. And so being able to rely on a food bank, I think, was kind of her saving grace during that time. So I'm curious, like, what, at least from the development side, like, at least on the operations side, like we've saw such an increase in demand. And then on the development side or the fundraising side, like, what did you see?
We have seen a response on a level that I didn't even know was capable. I had spoken earlier about wondering if the community was aware of what was going on. And once the community did become aware, we saw an amazing response from our donors and from new donors as well. Since October 15th, we have raised over $330,000,
Wow.
which is, maybe Jefferson can speak to this, but I don't think that we've ever seen that level of support come in during those months ever in the history of the food bank. And then on top of that, we've also received 84,000 pounds of food. I had taken I'd taken a vacation in October, and when I returned from vacation, I was met with hundreds of emails from people all around looking to do food drives, finding out, hey, can I do a fund drive? Can you help me with the QR code so I can link to your guys' donation page? I mean, it was just nonstop. Everybody was looking for ways that they could pitch in. And while it was kind of heart-wrenching to see our numbers increase on the operation side, it was more than heartwarming and just really an overwhelming response and really reinvigorating
Yeah.
to see the community step up. We've seen our total number of donors increase to 1,092. So 1,092 unique people out there who are
Wow.
helping support us. We've also seen our monthly donations, which are very helpful for us to kind of plan out what our spending looks like for the year, gone from $6,409 to over $20,000 a month, which is phenomenal. And it really helps us kind of keep that momentum going as we start to keep meeting this need. And it is especially, it's been amazing to see this kind of response, and especially right now since we are in the middle of our end of year appeal. We still want to meet those goals, and we have $100,000 that we're trying to reach for the end of year appeal. But we so far have raised about 20,000 of that, so we're definitely on our way. But yeah, it's just been an amazing response. And Jefferson actually came up with this idea, why don't we find a way to help provide the tools to our community so they know best ways to help us. So if you go to our front page now, you'll see that there's a button there to help host a food or a fund drive. And there's a ton of great information in there, including our high need items, what our customers are usually asking for, along with a fun little cheat sheet that helps you come up with ways to, make it almost a competition, or maybe you have a goal. So there's a lot of really cool tools that we were able to source and put together there to help respond to this amazing response from the community. Because as much as the need is there, we've also seen more than enough people step up and going, hey, how can I help? What can I do?
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm really proud of you all for being able to respond in the moment and be so flexible. And also recognizing we have increased demand on one side, increased support on another side, and it's just puts an extra demand on our staff too. And so, thinking and being innovative in the moment too is really a testament to who you two are as people, and being able to put that out there and be here's everything you need. You can just go and find it. And how has the response been to that?
It's been great. I get it. I guess what I like about it is it's reduced the amount of question emails.
For
that
sure,
I get.
for sure. Let's not sell it short.
As much as I do love answering everybody's questions, and please do, if you ever have any questions, please reach out to me. But I was receiving a lot of kind of the same questions, and so that was very helpful to see that immediately drop off. And what's been great now is kind of working with folks who want to create a special landing page for their donation drive, or maybe they want something that's a little bit more custom with their logo on it for their food drive. So it's been great to meet those community members and get to know them a little bit more and find out what brought them to the food bank, why
Yeah.
they want to interact with us. Something that Jefferson and I have talked about quite often is that the community response that has occurred has come from the relationships that we've been building
For sure, yes.
over the years. And people had the question, what's going on? They got the answer, here's what's going on. And when they thought, who do I help? They saw the White Center Food Bank as the place to help, through all these community connections that we've been creating and getting to know people where they're at. So it's been great to see the response there, and then also having a bit more of a for the operations folks, guiding folks to provide us donations of what we're kind of looking for. You and I worked an event recently called Cranksgiving, which is hosted by
yeah.
the Evergreen Bicycle Club. And
Cascade.
Oh, Cascade, sorry. Excuse me.
Same difference, but yeah.
I remember, going out there that day, and it was a pretty cold day. We were pretty far out there for a drop-off point, and in the back of my head, I'm like, it might not be that big of a response.
Yeah.
Hundreds of bikers.
Yeah.
Thousands of pounds of
So
food.
cool.
It was very cool. It's really fun, I guess, to see all the different ways that the community is finding to lift their spirits up and finding ways to help out, and that we're stronger together, and that the community can come together and help when the time needs it.
Yeah. And shout out to Cascade Bicycle Club for putting together this super cool event. They call it a scavenger hunt, and they have all their members, who want to participate in it. But it at least from my understanding of it, it's neighborhood to neighborhood kind of scavenger hunt, and their staff puts together the food that the specific food bank in that neighborhood wants, and then they give recommendations of where to buy it, but they try to focus on smaller family-owned businesses, I think. So we were in Georgetown for ours. We met them, a little halfway, so that cyclists didn't have to come all the way up to White Center. And I was looking at one of the lists, and they had Maruta listed on there, which I thought was so cool. And then getting to see just different products, from these smaller stores, it made me really excited, because it wasn't just your standard big box grocery store items. And then it was since we got to tell them what we wanted, the donations were really thoughtful, but it was just really cool to see a wide range of products that still fit the need for White Center Food Bank. And just knowing our customers here, I suspect that there will be some excitement amongst families when they find those items on the shelf. So it was a really cool experience, and I was really impressed too. Because similarly, I was I'm not sure, we're kind of further off the beaten path for the rest of the scavenger hunt. But there was hundreds of cyclists that came through with donations. We definitely filled up a van, and we ran out of crates. So things to think about for next year. But I agree to your point. I think there's just this need for and want for folks to be able to get more involved with their community, and being able to do different cool events like Cranksgiving is a really great way that folks get to build community with each other. And it's something we've talked about a lot as a team too. Something I forget being here at White Center Food Bank, because so much of our work is in person, is that a lot of folks are working from home majority of the time, working remote. So they're always looking at little boxes on a screen. And I think, after years of doing that, maybe folks are at a point now where they're wanting to do more of these things in person, and being able to, lean into maybe some of their hobbies or interests, but also be able to support community has been really cool to see.
Can I add a little something?
Yeah.
Just in terms of community support, that's been so surprising and heartwarming and uplifting. through the SNAP suspension, we were kind of waiting to see a little bit of the impact before we, did a press release or did or any kind of appeal to the community. And we recently launched, as Robert mentioned, our end of year appeal. But prior to that, we had, I think it was like 750 new donors that just came out of the woodwork that we did not ask anything of the community to support us during this time. It just came out of the blue, which was, again, just harkens back to the years of building relationships and being top of mind for folks, but just really inspiring.
Yeah, and like our social media was like super engaged. It was like just like full on a collective action throughout our whole community. Like people are hosting food drives and having like social media posts every day and like just encouraging neighbors to like host a food drive at their house. It was just like consistent engagement on social media. We like gained about 500 new followers in the last 6 weeks, which based off of just support of the SNAP cuts.
I love seeing those metrics in your board report. So the team helps me put together a report for the board each month, and so Randy often shares some of the social media metrics, and that was a really awesome number to see. And something we've been seeing a lot of too lately is just like people randomly doing some sort of benefit for us. Like I think kind of the most recent hot iteration is flash tattoos to benefit food banks, which is really cool. And I just love, seeing people's creativity around these things, and finding ways, using their skill set to be able to benefit the community has been really fun to see. So you might see me with a vegetable tattoo in the near future.
And I think all the engagement has been like all word of mouth too, from just neighbors talking about the White Center Food Bank and potentially customers talking about the food bank to other people. So
One thing I also want to add is from these new donors, we've been seeing in your donation notes, I used the food bank when I was in college. I used the food bank when I lost my job. I only needed it for a few months, and so this is to help the next person. And I think what a lot of people were realizing is that the safety net that helped them survive really tough times is now being taken away from other people. And so not only were we top of mind, but this is top of mind because they've used it, because they know that this is a service that's helpful to the community, that it can help somebody get through a tough time.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that most of us are closer to having to use food bank services than, being a billionaire. Yeah. And then one other area that we saw extra support was through just grant funders. So I think I just did some quick math here. We got about 87,000 in random SNAP support grants during that time, which is amazing. I wasn't really expecting that. And, some of the funders were a little more stringent on how and when we could spend the money. So it had me doing a little bit of gymnastics, while we were also trying to serve 400 families a day. But I think, I think we're blessed in a lot of ways than being in the region that we are in, because I think we see a lot of folks that get it and want to be involved in support. And then we also see it from, local government and state government too. So part of the extra grant funding that we got was part of that 2.2 million that Governor Ferguson had released for emergency funds. And so that helped us be able to purchase food for December, which is, always helps us a ton. And so, so we saw it from all around. all around. Any last thoughts?
Just again, thank you so much for all of the support out there. We really couldn't do it without everybody helping us out, and that goes from the volunteers to the $5 donors to the $1,000 donors. Everybody out there who has pitched in to support us during this tough time, we very much appreciate it, and we hope that we can continue to rely on your support in the future. If you have a moment, check out our front page. We do have a link to our end of year appeal. We are about $80,000 away from our goal. And we also have some options there for you if you would like to host a food drive or if you want to host your own fund drive. Feel free to click on the links there. And as always, feel free to reach out to me. You can hit me up at my email address, which is there on the website as well.
Yeah, we definitely encourage folks to think about ways how they can continue sustain support for White Center Food Bank or their local food bank in their neighborhood. I think the monthly donations really matter here because inevitably there will be times where we see less support. Like I'm just reflecting on the beginning of the year when we tend to see support drop down after the holidays. And so I really encourage folks to think about, it could be $5 a month, but that sustained support really makes a big difference to us as an organization because that's money that we know is coming. And so that helps us inform our programming more proactively when we see support like that. Or even like a food drive in the beginning of the year or in February when, food security isn't top of mind for everyone. And a couple of other ways is just, I think help spread accurate information as you hear it. As we talked about earlier, many households didn't know that cuts were coming. And there was some misinformation about what cuts would actually happen. I think I heard a customer ask if we were going to be shut down because of the SNAP suspension. So just make sure folks are getting the most accurate and up-to-date information. And we plan to be back next month-ish. And that will be probably a longer length episode. And we have a very special guest. So we're going to be talking to Aaron Garcia from the White Center Community Development Association. Yes. And talking about the Hope, Unity, and Belonging building that they just opened, or the Hub project, which folks may know or have heard or know it as the reason why we had to move.
It's the old food bank.
It's the old food bank. Yes, it's the old food bank location. So we're really excited about that. And, I think we have a lot of gratitude going into the new year for just this tremendous amount of community support that we've seen. And, despite things being hard, and I think, this is a real testament to the community, is like that's when you show up for people, is when it's hard. And so I think, it has us as a team ending the new year, or ending the current year on a good note and starting the new year with a lot of optimism. So make sure you follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, at White Center Food Bank. And you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe if you want to get updates for new episodes. And that is going to conclude this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Happy holidays.